What's up, y'all? I know y'all been waiting on this. It's Friday. Our show came on Wednesday. I'm here. I'm ready to talk about it. Let's get into the video. Was anybody surprised to see Tariq? I was, especially so early on in um the season, but nonetheless, he is there. He's always a part of the comedic relief, and he is one of my favorite characters. Even though he be acting so like clueless sometimes, he is so funny. He is so hilarious. But we open up and we see that Barb is welcoming her students to school, and here comes Tariq, and she doesn't seem to be super happy to see him. And they're having their conversation back and forth, and she learns that he is dating um, the mother of one of her students, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And the way that Tariq just took on the role of a father, should we say, was, like I said, hilarious. Um, just calling him a junior, telling him to love him. Like, sir, you don't even know this boy. You know what I'm saying? And she was just annoyed by that. Probably had some of the same sentiments as I had. But nonetheless, she was like, Tariq gonna be Tariq, and I'm gonna let him be Tariq. And so she is not really looking forward to seeing him as often because, like I said, he's dating the mother of one of her students. But at the end of the day, she's just like, it is what it is, and I'll just deal with him when I see him. I ain't gonna think too much into it. And so Tariq leaves, and then we get a scene of Janine, who is basically just updating us about her fellowship at the district. As you all know, that is something that she decided to do instead of teach at Abbott at that particular time. And we learned that she is now being put, to, put to the test, coming up with an idea that her and Jacob came up with, basically to get a sign language interpreter for one of Jacob's students. And she is, responsible for interviews. She's responsible for hiring the person, getting all the paperwork done to even put that job out there through the district. And the people that, recruited her for the fellowship are basically just like, we brought you here. We knew that you could do a great job. And so now is your time to shine. And she's excited about it, but some things start to go awry. And later on in the episode, we see a little bit of a struggle for Janine, but nonetheless, she's up for the task. While we are seeing her, go through her presentation, while she's talking about, getting, used to the office, building relationships with everybody else, having, like learning her way around, she is understanding how much of a task it is, like I said, but nonetheless, she's determined to get it done. That Janine spirit that we all know and love so much. And meanwhile, Miss Ava, Principal Ava, our girl, decides to show up in her office to, one, check on her, and two, throw some shots at her as she always does. She can never not throw shots at Janine. And she is also just coming in to ask for favors or whatever. I feel like she, when your friends move on to another job or your coworkers move on to a different position and you be like, but I love you anyway. I feel like that's the type of like relationship they have now, that they don't see each other all the time. And because she doesn't see Janine all the time, Ava is gonna always, like I said, joke on her, throw shots at her or whatever. But it's all in Ava's form of love. And meanwhile, we see a group of boys sitting in Greg's, or AKA Mr. Eddie's, room. And I'm like, what's going on here? Is he mentoring? What's happening? Well, the boys decide to come to him because Miss Minty, aka Melissa, is having some middle school relationship counseling going on in the office. And the boys decided that they wanted to go and talk to Greg and get some advice from him. And the whole time he's looking at them like, why are y'all here? Y'all disturbing me. What do y'all want? What do y'all need? And they have conversations. He's really not even talking to him. He's basically ignoring them. But instead he decides to let them stay, even though, they're not doing he's not really, communicating with him, like I said. And they are just going on and on and on. And I was like, oh, these little boys like him. You know what I'm saying? They feel like he's the quote unquote cool teacher. And he doesn't realize that, right? He doesn't realize it. And so he's just like, what's going on? How can I get them out of here? But again, we see towards the end of the episode how all of that started to change. So we're at lunch, and guess who walks in again to annoy the heck out of Miss Barb? It's Tariq. He's bringing lunch to his quote unquote stepson. Y'all, if y'all saw the video, the episode, y'all would know what I was talking about. And Melissa was there, and she's giving Melissa the play by play of everything. Lets her know that he's dating the mom of one of her students. And again, Tariq being Tariq, his little quotes and the things that he says and things that he does, and they're both just looking at him like, oh my gosh, like, what did Janine see in him? What do people see in him? Because he's a whole lot. Meanwhile, in the hallway, Greg decides to approach Jacob because he's like, hey, can you please keep your students in your class? Like I said before, he doesn't realize that they consider him the cool teacher, which is what Jacob helped him to realize at that time. But he was just like, if they're choosing to be around you, if they're not avoiding you, if they don't feel like they don't even want to be near you, you should take that as a compliment. And it kind of changed his view a little bit. But then again, like I said, I'm just here to teach. I'm just here to, do my job and go home. And Jacob basically let him know, like, if this is what they want from you, like, you should really take that in. You should really be appreciative of it and build those relationships. Like, he was like, even though, they joke on me, they call me this, they call me that, he was like, I feel loved by them. We all know quirky Jacob. And so he ends up, accepting the boys. He doesn't try to block them out anymore. Even though they're talking amongst themselves, he's listening, even though he's pretending and trying to make it seem like to them that he's not. And they end up talking to him about a boy's girlfriend, and he gives them some advice, and it backfires, to say the least. It backfires, and he ends up looking like, the worst teacher ever. Even when it came to Melissa and Barbara, because they knew about, this little crush or this little middle school relationship, and the advice that Greg gave caused the little girl to go crazy. Told him that, she hated him, how could he, and all that stuff. And he felt terribly bad. He was like, well, what did I do? But again, everything blown out of proportion when it comes to these little middle school kids and kids in general. But then he finds a way to fix that situation, and everybody was happy. So back to our friend Janine. So she is really having a hard time figuring out how to get this interpreter, but she's really not trying to let anybody from the district office know that. So I believe his name is Danny, I said. He's the one that basically recruited her, was feeling that. And him and another person decided to check in and peep in the office with Janine, and to make sure she was okay. And they was like, are you sure? And at first I was like, is this a setup to make her fail? Was they playing her the whole time? Were y'all getting those vibes, or was it just me? But now that I think about it, I think maybe they wanted her to really be honest and say, it isn't as easy as I thought it would be, and I do need a little bit of help. But she, again, like I said, she dealt with it internally for a little while. She let them know that that she can get the job done, and they were just like, okay, and then they back off. And then we go back to Abbott Elementary, where where Barb finally sees Tariq, and they have a conversation about the relationship that Tariq has with the little boy in her class. And Barb lets him basically know, like, hey, you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot to try to prove yourself. Sorry, y'all, I'm looking at my notes. To trying to prove yourself to this little boy. So how about you take the time to get to know him? Stop trying to be stepfather, stepson. Stop trying to make it about you and make it about him. And, even though, you have a relationship with her and we are not the best of acquaintances, we're not even friends. I'm going to respect you, you respect me, and I'll and they go from there. And he basically takes the advice from her, that we see towards the end of the episode. And they seem to have like a cute little connection there. After all, he had a little smile, she had a little smile. He even asked her, like, what's your deal with me, Barb? But of course, Barb, she's, you know it's distinguished, and like she gonna read you, but in very, very, very professional way. um so we also get to see, which I love, I love, I love. Last season we got to see them inside their homes and stuff, outside of the school, which is always great. Add more, to the episode. So we see that they have this certain hangout spot now. We saw it in the first episode, so we saw it again here, but this time it's not with Greg. It's just Jacob and Janine, and she's like, "Hey, I've been working my butt off trying to get you this sign language interpreter for your student." And she was just like, "I am realizing the struggle is really real. I got to go get this paper signed, this paper notarized, this done, that done. And it's just too much." And she was like, "And as a teacher, I've always had this, like, I can do it, go for it attitude." She was like, "And I would always have these high hopes from the district. And, people warned me about it. And now I'm becoming what those people were warning me about." As you all know, like I said, she basically feels as though she's the district person that promises stuff but never gets it done. And me, like I always say in these videos, working as an assistant teacher, me seeing behind the scenes of stuff, I get it. But she hates it because, like I said, she's always that one that's gonna do what she can to get it done. And she realizes, like, I can't do it. And she felt disappointed about it. She felt upset about it. But Jacob reassured her that, we'll figure it out. We've been doing well with that one. It's all right. But something deep down in her, just couldn't deal with that for real. It's like she basically just gave up on the whole situation, and which is not like her. And I could just tell that it was like really bothering her. And I felt pretty bad for her. So now, y'all, we're back to Greg and these boys and the big mistake that he made with this little middle school relationship, or however it is, because I believe Abbott Elementary goes up to sixth grade, I believe, because they kept referencing middle school. So maybe, if not, my fault. But anyways, they basically, like I said, the little girl hates Mr. Greg because of how he messed up their relationship. And he basically put a stop to the boys coming in. He put a do not disturb sign on his door, and the boys was like, "What?" So all of a sudden, in comes Mr. Johnson, the janitor, and he's like, "You got to take this off because now people's coming in bothering me." Same thing with Melissa. She barges in and says the same thing. "No, do not disturb. No, I already got enough on my plate handling these relationships with these kids. Like, you got to be somebody that they can count on as well." And he basically tells them again, like, "I did not sign up to be a teacher for this. I come, I teach, I do what I got to do." And both of them still let him know it's all about building relationships. These kids want to be around you, so you should take that as like a sign that you're doing something good. And even Mr. Johnson references how, Greg comes to his office all over the school, because he never has one particular one, but he comes to him for advice. He comes to him and he was like, "Do you think I want to be bothered with you all the time? No, I don't." So just like those boys do you, you do me the same way. So, toughen up, get over it, and do what you got to do to keep building these relationships with these kids, because at the end of the day, they need us, right? Right. And also, Ava's in the hallway at one particular time telling jokes to the kids, and one little girl in particular didn't really get the joke. She didn't laugh. Well, not that she didn't get the joke or laugh, but it was a delay reaction. And she was just like, talking to Jacob, like, "What's up with your student?" Like, she got to experience my jokes, my comedy, because I'm the best, basically. And she's always late on the jokes. She doesn't understand them. And he's like, no, she's hard of hearing. She has a hearing aid, so it's a delay. And Janine was, working on getting me an interpreter, and it didn't quite work out. And so I told her we could manage. And in a nutshell, Ava was shocked because she was like, are you serious? Like, Janine that's gonna do what she got to do. Janine that got a CDL just so that we could take field trips and she could be the driver, like the one that always makes it happen. She gave up. Oh no, I gotta go see her. So she goes and she does, and she pops up again on the job. She motivates the heck out of a Janine to get back into who she really is, stop trying to be what she believes the district wants her to be, and be herself. Because she has the power to change things and she should do it. And I was like, see, I know Ava loves people. I know she ain't selfish like that. But again, she's gonna do it in her own Ava way, like an insult, but also encouraging. It's like, how does she do that? How does she do that? But she does. And we see Janine does what needs to be done to get that interpreter for that little girl. And her family is pleased, Jacob is pleased, Ava is happy, Janine is ecstatic, and she did it. She got the job done. And of course, in good Ava fashion, while she's leaving, she decides to drop the T on Tariq having a son in Barbara's class, and Janine looks hella confused, but also like, okay, why are you telling me about my ex? I don't care. And then y'all, pretty much the rest of the episode is that like I said, Janine got the interpreter. She thought outside of the box to get the results that she wanted, which was amazing, if I do say so myself. Tariq takes Barb's advice to think about the child and his feelings and call him by his name. If you know, you know. And Greg decides, to take the advice of Melissa and Jacob and Mr. Johnson and open back up to those boys, but with boundaries, and connect with them on a different type of level, that will get them involved, that will get them interested in something, especially something that he likes. And it worked, and I was very happy because, like I said, those boys seem to really look up to him and they like him. And again, working with children, you have to take that as, oh, I'm doing something right for these kids that want to be up under me. I'm doing something right, because kids these days, they need good people, good genuine people to teach them, good things, teach them new things, teach them the right thing at the end of the day. Like I said, he opens up, he bonds with those boys, and then towards the end of the episode, Janine pops up at Abbott at the end of the day, and she is probably, I'm assuming she was there because of the little girl. I want to say her name was Imani or Naomi. It was one of the two, and she must have met with their parents, I'm assuming, and talk to them and introduce them to the interpreter. And she walks in, unbeknownst to her, Tariq is already there talking to Ava, because they have a funny relationship because they're both on that, like, that, I don't know, that personality type or whatever. And he wants to start a PTA. Now she's thinking like the Parent Teacher Association or whatever it's called, and he's like, no, it's something that has to do with him, Tariq. And Ava asks Janine about it, and she was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And walks off, and they both like, oh, that's why we don't like you anyway. But yeah, they have a common bond with each other because they have some type of like annoyance or frustration with Janine, but also love at the same time. But basically the whole moral of this episode to me was, which I think Janine basically said throughout the episode, was that when you think about why you are teaching or whatever profession or career that you have to really think about your why. And one of my cousins have told me that too, like not just getting up and doing something just for the sake of doing it, but like your why. And their why was basically, in a nutshell, the importance of having relationships, like I said, and building those relationships with the boys. Especially as a teacher, just, despite how difficult it could be, it's really all about the impact and the influence that you have on students, that they have on you, that you have with your staff, and vice versa. And those things are what matter the most. Doing what you have to do for the kids at the end of the day because you care is very, very important when you're in a career or profession that has to do with kids, or even just people in general. Having that genuine care and empathy and sympathy for people gets you a long way. And I feel like with Jacob and his relationship with his students, with Greg, and him learning about building those bonds and relationships with people, because he's so used to it just being him. He didn't even have that with his father. And being vulnerable, being open up, and Janine, just why she cares and why she goes so hard, even though people look at her sideways half the time like she be doing the most, she really cares. Ava, in her selfish, funny ways, she cares. Mr. Johnson, he cares. Barb, Melissa, they all have their own personalities, their own way of doing things, but at the end of the day, their why is the same, is that they care for the kids, they care about each other, no matter how challenging or difficult it could be. And I was just like, yes, yes. A bravo to this episode. I wish they were all an hour like the first episode was. But nonetheless, it was a great episode. Good lessons as usual. And I cannot wait till next Wednesday. So thank y'all for your patience. Like I said, it's been a heck of a week for me. I skipped school today. I skipped work. So I am relaxing and getting some well needed personal time. So I just decided, you know what? Let's just make the video. And I thank all of you all for watching my last video. It's been a minute since I've even uploaded to YouTube. But thank you to any of the new subscribers, because I seen like it went up like 2 or 3 people, and it may not be a lot to y'all, but it's a lot to me because this is not something that I thought I would ever be doing. But I'm very grateful for those who take the time out to watch and subscribe as well. And I am in the works of coming up with different content that would be interesting or whatever, and getting a camera because I use my phone. Just like I said, figuring out my why of why I do this. But I really, really enjoy Abbott Elementary. Janine reminds me a lot of myself, as I have said before. And thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all next week. Bye.